The base is dropped on a sad day in American soccer. Siggy Schmid, MLS legend, U.S. soccer legend, college soccer legend, pretty much any aspect of American soccer, Siggy Schmid had a huge impact on it. He passed away last night in Los Angeles, and we'll be talking about his impact on the game a lot today, and we'll be sharing some of the different remembrances from players who played for him, coaches who coached against him, coaches who coached with him. I mean, guys, on a Thursday Thoughts edition of our show, it's kind of hard to really understate how much of an impact he had on American soccer, because you go back to his beginnings in soccer in this country. I mean, he came over at a very young age from Germany, and he played in the first season of AYSO in California in 1964. I mean, that's as grassroots as it gets with youth soccer at an organization in the AYSO that has done a ton for soccer in this country, especially out west. He played at UCLA. He went on to coach at UCLA. He has won more games, regular season, postseason, than anybody in MLS history. He won 2 MLS Cups, 3 Supporter Shields, 5 Open Cups. He won a CONCACAF Cup with the Galaxy, the last U.S. team to win a CONCACAF trophy, the old format of what became the CONCACAF Champions League. The Galaxy were the last team to win that in 2000. He won 3 NCAA titles. I mean, he coached U.S. youth national teams. When you look at pretty much the majority of the player pool right now, and in the previous generation, and in the previous generation, and in the previous generation, Siggy Schmid had a huge impact on it. One of the stories that has jumped out to me that I didn't know about Siggy is, if you remember back in the early days of MLS when they started the Project 40 campaign, it was all about getting young talent into the league at younger ages. It became Generation Adidas over time. Nike sponsored it at first, and it was called Project 40. And players were assigned to teams in the league, but then they played together in the A-League as a team that played all their games on the road. Josh Wolf played for this team, for example. Players were not signed to this without Siggy's approval. Like, he was that well-respected that, okay, yeah, we think this guy's good. Okay, what does Siggy think? I never knew that. And there's so many other stories like that about his impact on the game that, I don't think we knew. And his quote from earlier this year, this is when he was still in charge with the Galaxy, he said, "What I'm most proud of are players that I found or players that I've helped get to the next level. That's my greatest joy." I mean, that's what a coach is. That's what Siggy, always was a coach, whether he was in charge of a team, whether it was a player who had played for him 20 years before. Siggy was always a coach to that person, and he was always a coach to American soccer in a lot of ways. It's a huge loss for American soccer that Siggy Schmid has passed away. John, you shared something I haven't heard yet from Seattle, where Siggy's family released their statement about Siggy's passing through the Seattle Sounders, where Siggy, built that club from what it had been in the A-League into an MLS club. And he wasn't on the sideline when they won the title in 2016, but they don't do that without him. I think everybody knows that. And, it's a shame it went down the way it did, but he was beloved in Seattle, and he always was. This is from King 5 in Seattle. Is that right?
Yeah. Chris Egan from King 5 rung up Alan Hinton, and they were in the studio together, and they kind of swapped stories for about 20 minutes. And here is Alan discussing the impact of Freddie Lundberg and some stories dealing with Ozzie Alonso and Jordan Morris as a part of their conversation last night. It was part of a very, very cool, in-depth look at Ziggy Schmidt.
Yeah, and Alan Hinton is somebody who would get it, because Alan Hinton, in a lot of ways, was Siggy Schmidt in Seattle before Siggy Schmidt. I mean, Alan Hinton is a player who played at Wolves, he played at Derby, he played at Nottingham Forest, played for England 3 times, then came over to the old North American Soccer League, stayed in America after the old NASL failed. He coached the Tacoma Stars in the MISL. He coached the rebirth of the Seattle Sounders in the A-League. He was in charge when the Sounders beat the Atlanta Ruckus in 1995. And he stayed in Seattle. He worked on TV. He is, kind of the dean of Seattle soccer. And Alan and Siggy definitely were on the same wavelength in terms of growing the game in their community. Here's Alan talking about Siggy Schmidt in Seattle.
Ziggy found a way to get along with him, and what Freddie Lundberg did more than anything, he elevated the quality of the league, because with the Sounders bringing in an Arsenal legend, it was wonderful for the season ticket base. And of course the story with Ozzie Alonso came to this country with the Cuban national team to Miami, and he did a runner. He went into Walmart and asked for asylum. Next thing is, Ozzie's playing in Charlotte, and Ziggy knew all the clubs, because the coaches there probably knew Ziggy from one connection or another, and Ziggy brought him here. And what a servant he's been, Ozzie. All these players will be heartbroken, I'll tell you that now.
And a young one on the Sounders team who tweeted out tonight, Jordan Morris, from Mercer Island. He had an eye on him when he was over at Mercer Island, and he went to you and said, "Go take a look at this kid."
Well, I think he wanted me to agree with him, and it was easy to do. I went to see Jordan Morris play for the Sounders, homegrown team, I think, the academy, at Starfire. I went on my own, and I focused in on Jordan Morris, and I liked his build. He's got big shoulders, and he's a good runner. So I watched him play, and then Ziggy said, "What do you think?" I said, "Bulldog, pit bull, sign him. This is a good kid." And I know the Morris family, Dr. Morris, who's the surgeon for the Sounders, and his wife, were very close to Ziggy. And of course, one of the reasons why Jordan Morris stayed here rather than go to Europe, where he could have gone, I saw it happen. Ziggy suddenly started to make his move, and Jordan was going to go to a third from bottom German team. You know what Ziggy said? What happens if they get relegated? And I remember Ziggy making his move, and he said, "You'll be well taken care of here." And Jordan was the best thing he ever did saying here.
Yeah.
And he'll be very sad tonight, but all the players will be sad. I mean, look at the players he bought here. Marshall, he bought Freddie Montero, came here. Zakawani.
Yeah.
Zakawani would be heartbroken that Ziggy's gone.
Yeah, the variety of players and personalities in the game in the U.S. that have shared remembrances of Siggy Schmidt. I mean, it's been overwhelming if you follow the game in this country. Alan mentioned Osvaldo Alonso, and if you don't know Ozzie's story, he defected from the Cuban national team when they were here for a Gold Cup. He played in 2008 with the Charleston Battery, and part of that was so Seattle could get him in 2009, because Seattle, coming into the league, had the option to sign, I can't remember if it was unlimited or if it was a certain number of players from the whole A-League that were coming up. They could bring their own players up, obviously, but then they could sign players in the A-League, and Osvaldo was one that they had identified straight away. And, he's been with Seattle ever since, and Siggy was a huge part of that. Ozzie tweeted last night, "Very sad and devastated for this news. Siggy was a great coach and an even better person. He was like a father to me. He believed in me, trusted me, and stuck with me for many years. His legacy will always be present. My condolences go to the whole Schmidt family. Thanks, Coach, for everything." We've talked about, kind of how it ended for Siggy Schmidt in L.A., and, It sounds like there were some health issues behind the scenes, and we don't know. We probably never will know. Galaxy officials have said behind the scenes, without putting a name to it, that they were worried about his heart at different times during his time there, and that was a recurring issue for them. But that doesn't put any kind of a damper on the career that he had, John. This is a guy who, he didn't have the national team success that a Bruce Arena did, and that's the only thing he didn't have. He worked with youth national teams, in many different points in his career. But outside of that, this is probably the most successful coach in American soccer history because of what he did at the college level, the MLS level, the youth national team level. I mean, it's Siggy and it's Bruce. Those are the two guys that are the deans of American soccer coaching.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at every part of the country that he's touched one way or another, in MLS, it's the West, it's LA, it's Seattle, it's Columbus, it's the youth, it's UCLA on the college level, and you look at a quote from Chris Henderson, the Sounders sporting director and VP of soccer. And it mentions the relationship going all the way back to Henderson playing for him at UCLA, and mentions how he's a great motivator working alongside of him in Seattle. And I don't think you can go in any conversation. If you were in a room with 25 people who were in soccer in the United States, I think you could probably go maybe 2 or 3 before having someone in that room with a relationship with Siggy Schmidt one way or the other. And think of the impact that he's had, multiple levels, multiple years, multiple generations, and how, we talked about coaching trees and whatever, but the impact that he's had on the pitch, off the pitch, in the boardroom, in the conference room, all of these different tentacles that he's had all along the way in all these different parts of the country. For me, this is one of the largest losses that the soccer community in the United States, and I mean community with a capital C, that the largest community for U.S. soccer has had, and the impact that he's had on multiple levels and multiple layers. And it's going to be a while for all of us really, I think, to understand the depth that he touched in all of his years in coaching.
I mean, Jarrett, we're talking about somebody who won a title in 2002 with the LA Galaxy in the kind of the heart of MLS 1.0, and then won a title right on the edge of MLS starting to edge into a new era in MLS 2.0 with Columbus in 2008, and then went to Seattle and was the architect of their championship in 2016. And you could argue that if he had been able to stick around when Nicolas Ladero arrived, that he could have done what happened. We will never know. But that team doesn't win that title without Siggy Schmidt, so he gets an assist there at a minimum. That's 3 different eras that Siggy Schmidt was successful in, and I don't know how many managers can say that across any sport. It's a really impressive run that he had. We'll continue to talk about the impact he had and share some of the stories. Matt Doyle had a great piece at MLSsoccer.com. I thought Doyle's kind of behind-the-scenes tale about Siggy on the field in 2016 at MLS Cup when the Sounders won it was really powerful. And some of the other stories that people are sharing, Eric Winalda has chimed in, Tony Miola. I mean, the legends of American soccer that you didn't get anywhere in American soccer without having a relationship with Siggy Schmidt in some form or fashion. That was just how big of a figure he was in the game, and he will be extremely missed as American soccer tries to move on. So we're going to take a break. We'll talk more about it. We'll also get into all of your Thursday thoughts as we go today. some news, some rumors, some things going on in the game that we need to discuss, and also wanted to get into the goals of the year from an Atlanta United perspective. There's been some interesting social media discussion about it. I don't necessarily, for a question on a Thursday, I don't want to ask about what your favorite goal was, because we know where the voting is and we know where that's going. I want to ask about maybe your most underrated goal of the Atlanta United season in 2018. What is the goal that is one of your favorites that doesn't get mentioned enough? Share that with us on Twitter at Soccer Down Here. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
had to be independent and take initiative. And that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency, or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Apolinski & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Apolinski at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Apolinski is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Welcome back. Soccer Down Here, December 27th edition. Thursday thoughts. Love to hear your Thursday thoughts on Siggy Schmid, on silly season, on everything going on in American soccer right now. It kind of feels, the Siggy news definitely, casts a pall on it, but it kind of feels like that time where everybody's catching their breath. And the next season is, it's officially underway in terms of moves and things happening as teams prepare for 2019. But this is the moment before the transfer window opens. This is the moment before the scouting for the draft, the combine, all of that really takes its final steps. It's that moment where everybody can just catch their breath and prepare, but also, I think, reflect on what the last calendar year was like in your soccer community. And here in Atlanta, we were all very blessed to see what we saw in 2018 and to be able to just be along for the ride for a year that did have some ups and downs, but luckily not that many downs. Honestly, just not that many. And the team bounced back really well from it. One of the stories that's been going around right now is the voting for goal of the year. It's kind of funny that it's 2 Tito Villalba goals that are up for the goal of the year. I wondered if it would go down that way. I wondered if maybe the sentimentality of Joseph's record-breaking goal in Orlando would push that into the final 2. I wondered if maybe the Joseph winner in San Jose, because of the moment, that might do it. But I think the 2 best goals are the 2 that are nominated. Jarrett and I were talking before we got started. One of our favorite goals, I know it made I think it was in the final 8, if I remember right, of the voting that Atlanta United's done, was the team goal in Philadelphia that I believe was Joseph to Miguel to Tito, and Tito scored from the top of the 6 and pretty much walked it in. That is one of those somewhat underrated goals to me. Is there a goal for you, John, that is one of your favorites from the season that is not getting enough love at the moment?
Well, but then, I mean, you get into personal preference. And then for
That's
me,
the whole point. Yes.
It's well, I mean, for me, I'm the kind of guy that likes triple option football. I'm the guy that,
I'm sorry,
versus this, if there's a team that's playing the
Never
spread.
apologize for your love of triple option football, John.
No, you should
never
apologize all the time for that. Good grief.
No, you and Jarvis Davis can go be angry about triple options together.
At the high school level, it's fine.
Oh,
Pop
so
Warner,
tell
it's
me that when Jeff Monken is running the triple option the way that he did against Houston, and Houston basically just waved the white flag when they were down 21-28, nothing, that it's not a thing of beauty when you have a quarterback who just does what he does in Army and what Jeff Monken has done. That's beautiful because it has to do with mental acuity. It has to do with mental acuity, assignment football, and making sure that you're paying attention to detail. So taking that into account, for me, I'm the kind of guy that sits there and looks at what Kevin Kratz does and the attention to detail and all of the effort and time and toil that he's got into his free kicks. And so give me Kratz versus Montreal.
I have no idea how you took a free kick to triple option football, but hey, that's cool. A lot of people love the Kevin Kratz goals. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's a free kick as good as you're going to see in any league in the world. Which one did you like better, though?
Well, I mean, I was thinking the two that he scored against Montreal, and I think after the first one, the second one, because after the first one, you sit there and you go, okay, what can he do after the first one? And then the second one, you just sit there and roll back in your chair and you sit there and you go, yep, okay, you win.
That's it. That's what I was wondering, because when we're talking goal of the year, it's not goals of the year. They don't get packaged. And the second one to me was even better. I mean, it was further out. It had more of a whip on it. The second one did get pretty much the exact same reaction from TV and radio. Probably the only time that happened in Atlanta United history, where both Dan and I just started laughing when the second one hits the net, because it was ridiculous. I mean, it was too far out to hit that ball the way he did. The bend, Evan Bush is still trying to figure it out. I mean, it was just absurd. So, yeah, that second one, that was easily like his goal of the year, and it's definitely one of the goals of the year. It's one that I'll always remember just because of that reaction. It wasn't as momentous because the game was over by that point. It was late. It didn't really do anything in terms of the competition. But in terms of just sheer quality and ridiculousness, yeah, that's definitely up there. Jarrett, what about you? What's another one for you that does not get the love that it should be getting?
I forget what game it was. I remember I made a GIF of it, and we discussed it on Twitter.
Gifter.
Yeah, whatever. Man, we're going to die on so many hills today. We're going to need like 9 cat lives to die on all the hills we need. I will have to go back and find which one it was, which game it was. But I think it might have been the Orlando game. But somebody plays a square ball across the middle, and Joseph dummies a ball. And I believe it was Miguel who was standing behind, and Joseph, even looking at that ball, drags everyone his way. Miguel gets a clean look. It might have been the ball that goes off the crossbar and Barco cleans it up. But if it's the one I'm thinking of,
I think those are two different ones. Are you thinking about the throw-in that Joseph dummied?
It may be. And it may be the throw-in he dummied, and everyone sucks into it, and it clears out space behind him. And it was just so smooth because it wasn't a full dummy. He just kind of was there and just kind of stepped up. Yeah, just kind of head fakes it and steps over it. And it's either that one for me or the the first goal against Red Bulls in the playoffs, just where he pulls that ball down and he doesn't just lash at it. He just hesitates for a half second, lets it take one more bounce, and lets Robles end up committing. And just the cojones and the confidence and the professionalism it took to not just lash that ball on the first bounce, but to hesitate with it, let it take another bounce in the moment, was insane to me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's definitely up there. And that's another little bit of quality from Joseph that doesn't get enough play. A couple for me that I always think of when I think of this season, the Miguel goal against Orlando, where he kind of ended Jonathan Spector's career. I don't think Spector was ever the same after that, when he just got physically stiff-armed by Miguel Almiron, which is not something you would expect to see, but it happened. And then Miguel just ran away from him and blasted it through Joe Bendick. He might have ended Joe Bendick's career. That's still up for debate. But yeah, that was about as insulting of a goal as you will see. That one, the first goal in Dallas, which I know a lot of people want to forget that game because of the way it ended, and it's mainly because of the Tito move that set it up, where Tito just pantsed a Dallas defender. I mean, it was just rude and nasty and uncalled for, but amazing. And then finds Joseph, and Joseph scores because that's what Joseph does. That was a great one. I will take issue with Jay Riddle and Unrelegated's campaign about the Tito goal from the playoffs being the goal of the season. I disagree. I believe it was the San Jose goal. And just because of the sheer audacity of that goal in that moment and what it meant, because that game, you don't come back if you don't score there. That gave the lifeline to Atlanta United to hang in there and try to figure out why they were playing so badly in San Jose. And, yeah, they gave up one more and went down 3-1. But you don't come back if you don't get that goal from Tito. I think it was a more difficult goal. The goal against Red Bulls is better every time I see it, especially from that behind the opposite goal cam, and you see the bend of it. But it was a cherry on top goal to me. And the goal against San Jose was a vital goal that you don't win without it. So I'm going the San Jose goal. You can at me if you want. It's okay. It's completely fine. These are opinions. We're all good. But, yes, I disagree with you, Jay, and the campaign that has been raging on social media about this. I think they flipped it. I think it was 52-48 San Jose, and it's been flipped now. I think the Red Bulls goal is going to win it.
By the way, it was the Orlando goal. I just retweeted it and tagged you in it. It's Barco, plays the ball from the left across to Almiron. Joseph's in the way of it. He's onside.
I was thinking of something completely different. Yes, I know which one you're talking about now.
Yeah, Joseph sucks all the defenders into it. Miguel's standing there, gets a good shot away, hits the crossbar. It bounces like flush off the crossbar, back out, and Barco follows the play and cleans it up.
Yes.
As
I tweeted after that, I said the Joseph dummy got an ooh out of me on the call.
Yes. But it is the same game where Miguel Almiron adopted Jonathan Spector, and now Spector owes him something for Father's Day.
Okay. Yes, definitely that. The other
because
one,
that whole game was just a microcosm of Orlando's season. Because they also missed a wide open net at the end. I think it was
it was Will Johnson. Yeah, it was
Will Johnson. And it wasn't a tap in. It was a bouncing ball that he had to control, but he lashed at it and misses a wide open net. It was Orlando's season in a 90-minute nutshell.
Yeah, I need two things from the listeners for their help here then. The goal that I was trying to think of when you mentioned it, the throw-in where Joseph gave the head fake dummy, and then I want to say Tito scored after it. What game was that from? That was at Mercedes-Benz. I do remember that because I remember just laughing at the highlight like over and over and over again. And The video that I believe J. Sam Jones put together from that Orlando game where they were demolished at Mercedes-Benz with all of the Bendick face and all that stuff, I can't find that. And I was looking for that the other day. If anybody can find that one for me, send it my way as well on Twitter at Longshoe and tweet us at Soccer Down Here and let us know your favorite goals, whether they are in the running for goal of the year or not. What are your favorite goals from the 2018 season? And if you want to take it further, favorite moments, favorite Joseph embarrassing people, favorite Miguel Almiron fathering people, however you want to take it. We'll talk about it this morning on the show. We'll get into some news and rumors on the other side of the break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, that's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Apolinsky & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Apolinsky at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Apolinsky is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome back. Soccer Down Here. I believe there are some buffering issues out there. I don't know if that's just because we're this popular on a Thursday morning in December. Maybe. I mean, anything's possible. But hopefully,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be pretty sweet. But hopefully they will resolve themselves shortly. Our friends at Spreaker are trying to figure out what the cause is. So we're talking all kinds of stuff. It's a Thursday Thoughts edition. These things can go anywhere. Yes, they can go wherever. We've talked favorite goals. Want to hear about your favorite goals. Jimmy Vance to the rescue on My Bad Memory. The Joseph dummy header to set up Tito's goal was against Salt Lake at home. I'm trying to pull it up because I'm vaguely remembering, but I'm not remembering completely. It's been one of those kind of years.
That was also one of the most complete performances that team had. You had every reason to be nervous about about Salt Lake coming into that game, and Atlanta just won. I mean, it wasn't a demolition.
You had to worry about it. You had to worry about it because Salt Lake was playing well, but Atlanta, remember, was coming off of going to Denver, staying out west, playing in San Jose, flying back overnight, and then turning around, like landing Thursday morning at. We did a show because I was crazy or stupid, one or the other. And I think we started at 10 o'clock. Like, I think we landed at about 8, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think we went a little late that morning.
Yeah, I know I wasn't ready for a 9 o'clock start. I think we started at about 10 or 10:30. So I think we landed at 8 or so. Then that was Thursday morning. The guys played Saturday night against RSL, who didn't play midweek. And as Jarrett said, it was one of the most complete performances of the season.
I'm sitting here trying to go back to the game at Rio Tinto, and
That was 2017.
Check.
Well, the game at Rio Tinto was the Brandon Vasquez coming out party.
Yes,
Also, Yamil Assad scored in that game because Nick Raimondo just had a howler of a game.
Yeah, the game at Rio Tinto would not be part of this. That was the last time. Oh, there it is. Yes. Joseph Martinez with the dummy header, Tito with the half volley that went off the post, off the back of Raimondo, and into the goal. And Tito somehow got credit for it, which he shouldn't have, but he did. It was a throw-in from Gressel. Joseph just dummy headered it, except he didn't head it because it was a dummy. And Tito with a blast. That was, that's ridiculous. This is one of those games I think it's easy to forget about it in terms of the season, but man, it was an important win.
Yeah, 61st minute. I just saw it. There we go.
Shout out to RJ's Modern Life as well he brought that one up to me because he thought that was the one I was thinking of, and that was me. He nailed. Yeah, well, no, he thought as well that's what I was thinking of when I mentioned the Orlando one, but he nailed it. That was also one. So that was the one he was thinking of as well, and for good reason. It was stupid in a good way.
We're getting reports out there, and this is a good advertisement moment for the Soccer Down Here app. If you have not downloaded the app on Android or iOS, please do so, because ATL UTD fan number 1 says, I had buffering issues on the computer, switched to the app, no such issues. So, the app's pretty sweet. It's free. Go download it. It'll work. There you go.
Joe Boss says that his Thursday thoughts, one of his favorite goals was Remedi at New York, kind of seeing the tackle score a touchdown.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's just one of those rare sorts of things. That game is still one that I'll probably remember for a long, long time. When I think of 2018, like next year at this time, when I look back, that might be the first game I think of, honestly. Because I will just always remember the day where we're on the staff bus getting ready to head over. And remember, the MLS Digital pregame show, basically everybody said Atlanta's losing by multiple goals. That was the thought coming in. This was after the Toronto loss. This was going to Yankee Stadium. This was people thinking Atlanta's done here. They're going to get bounced by NYC in game 1, and they're going to have to win by 3 or 4 at home in the second leg, and that's not going to happen. So, yep, it's over. That was the mindset, and we were talking about it and trying to figure out, okay, what is the signature win in club history? And everybody had different opinions. There were all kinds of different ones because I don't think there was that signature win yet at that point. There were some really good wins, but there wasn't the win. Well, after that game, everybody was like, this is the signature win right here. And then it was replaced as the playoffs kept going. But that was the game where it felt like Atlanta United went from being a very good team that was fun to watch to a championship team. It really felt like the game at Yankee Stadium was that, and it transformed the team.
Let's see. Championship Train says the Barca goal versus Chicago off the crossbar.
Oh, that's a good shout. I was about to pull that one out, but everybody gets at me because I'm the Barco apologist, I guess. But that was a great one. That Chicago win was an interesting one because Chicago wasn't dead yet at that point, although the stands were that night. It was kind of quiet. It was a good win. I mean, it was a win where you came out in the second half and took control of it and got a couple of goals. The other goal in that game, too, the Nagby assist to Martinez, where, I mean, Nagby could have been selfish and slotted that home, but you feed your goal scorer, and he did. And that was good interplay that created that opportunity. So 2 good goals in that game. And that was another one of those kind of underrated wins on the road where I think this team showed what was coming. It didn't all the way get there until the postseason, but they showed bits and pieces of it throughout the year, and that win in Chicago was one of those moments.
Also, the Barco goal in Orlando, in the first Orlando win, where you went down there and basically what we didn't know it at the time. You basically ended Orlando's season the first time down there.
Oh yeah, you did.
And go back and look at Barco's goal in that first Orlando game. He makes a very difficult finish look really easy. Like, it's kind of unsettling.
Yeah, I mean, it's an outside of the foot, kind of funky finish that you've got to have supreme confidence to hit that, and he did. And it's easy to look back and say, Ezequiel Barco was a bust. Oh, he didn't do anything. Look at that run when he got healthy and he came in as a sub against NYC. But look at the run from around that Chicago game through the Seattle game, through his suspension. Don't look at the tweets, especially from Matt Doyle calling him an average winger. Look at the performances. Look at the chances he was creating. I talked about it all summer. He was playing really well. And if things had gone differently, we might have been having a different conversation about Barco. But also, things happen, and you have to adjust. And the way this team adjusted to, okay, he's becoming a big part of creating chances for this team. Oh, now he's not in the team, period. Now he's going to be coming off the bench. Now what? And Tata Martino figured that out because it was a great, master class of management from him. But I don't think Barco's season was a waste. I really don't. I think there is still a lot for him to show, and he's got to do it consistently. First this year, he's going to be doing that with the Argentine U20s. And I don't think this is getting enough play about an Atlanta United player, an MLS player, in an Argentine youth national team setup going to South America and qualifying right now. He's going to miss time initially in training, in preseason with Atlanta United, and that's going to be interesting to see how he blends back in when he gets back. But this is a huge opportunity for Barco to represent Atlanta and represent MLS in a big moment with Argentina.
Ricky Ricardo has one. You talked about youth. Bello's goal against New England was awesome. Was wondering the whole time who he could pass this to, and he's like, I'm going to blast this thing, and either I'm scoring or someone's hand is breaking. Nagby's no goal against NYC was also great. #Thirsty Thoughts.
Yeah, it's that confidence you want young players to have, and I think more and more you're starting to see young American players have it. Years past, you didn't, and they would be looking to pass that even if they were the best option. Bello, that kid's got swagger for days. So he's not going to back out of that. He's not going to worry about it. He's going to have it. And credit to the team from all the way from the academy and Tony Annan through Atlanta United 2 and Scott Donnelly to the first team for giving him that confidence to have that moment. Because in the past, young players would have been too afraid to take that moment on. Bello wasn't. And that shows, I think, where he can be headed next in his career. And I do think he is the penciled-in starter at left back for this team in 2019. He's got to earn it. He's got to show Frank de Boer that he's the guy and he's ready for it. But I think he's going to get every opportunity to do so.
It's a quiet confidence, too. It's kind of unsettling when you talk to him because he's a good kid, and he's very level-headed about things. But you talk to him and you're like, oh, this kid's just, he's still a kid. And then you talk to him and you're like, yeah, there's kind of an unsettlingly quiet confidence about this of, yeah, I'll sit here and smile and be nice. And, I can do everything I want to do on the field. But it's kind of scary, that kind of quiet confidence in a good way if you're Atlanta. It's not flashy. It's kind of workmanlike.
Yeah, but I mean, think to, all of the young players coming through, and this is a credit to the academy especially. Bello has that. Chris Goslin has that. Anytime you talk to him, I mean, he gives you really thoughtful answers, confident but not arrogant. You find that balance. Andrew Carlton has always had that. Whenever we've had him on after a game in an interview situation, I mean, he came up to the booth at the after the Open Cup match against Charleston and was great sitting in with us. This is a generation of young players, and I mean, even take it further to the guys who have played with Atlanta United too, who have had those opportunities. Dylan Gaither, Jackson Conway, Alessandro Castro, all of them have that confidence without being arrogant and without it being too much for them. That's the perfect place to be as a young player breaking in, because you can fit in and you can take those moments as they come, as Bello did and as others have and others will. But you can also fit into a group of veterans, because you don't want to come in and be the face of the team. That's going to rub a veteran group the wrong way. But these guys come in and they fit into the team and they have the confidence to play within the team. That's a big thing. It's not always easy to accomplish. Let's take a break, come back and wrap up hour number 1. Share your Thursday thoughts with us on Twitter at @SoccerDownHere. We'll be right back.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
Living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
Had to be independent and take initiative, and that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency, or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Apolinski and Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Apolinski at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Apolinski is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Welcome back. Final segment, hour number 1, final Thursday of 2018. God, that sounds crazy. That's just weird. It just hit me that this is the final Thursday of 2018. Can't believe the calendar year is almost over.
There are no breaks.
Oh, I'm not even talking about breaks. I'm saying 2018 is almost over. The calendar year flew by.
I know.
Has nothing to do with seasons or any of that. It just feels like this year barely happened.
Start. I know.
It's nuts, but it's a Thursday Thoughts edition, final Thursday Thoughts of 2018. So get them in on Twitter at Soccer Down Here. Download the app because it sounds like the Spreaker website is a little buffering, maybe just because so many people are listening, and it's just that big of a thing on a Thursday in December. I hope so. That'd be pretty cool. We appreciate it. Yes. And download the app because the app doesn't seem to be having those issues. It's on Android, it's on iOS, it's free. It's just a different way to listen to the show and all of the other content that we put out.
Andrew Baker is soccer live from Kansas City this morning.
What?
Apparently, he's here on the continent for the holiday.
Wacky.
And he says, who do you think has made the best offseason moves so far to challenge Atlanta in the East next season?
Ooh, in the East? I don't know. Because the Red Bulls are going to go with what they're going with. They're going to drop in Christian Caceres for Tyler Adams, and I think they're going to suffer. If they lose Aaron Long, I think they're really going to suffer. They also need more depth at center back. So I don't think they're going to go get anybody. I think they are what they are. They need to get more out of Kaku in 2019, that's for sure. NYCFC, they haven't replaced David Villa yet. And until they do, nothing's going to really change. They got to figure that out. I mean, not even just on the field, not even just the goals. Attendances have dropped for NYC every year since year one. Yankee Stadium's not a great place for soccer. It's good when it's full, when there's a good crowd in there and it's kind of loud. Like it has a vibe. It was for the postseason. It was good. Even for the afternoon game back in July, it was good. Or back in June, it was good. But then how many times have we seen games from there where it's pretty empty, it's pretty dead, you're far away from the field. It's very easy to say, you know what, I'm not going to go to the game. They have to sign somebody that makes people say, I got to go to the game. David Villa was that for quite a while. Who are they going to get? Balotelli? City Football Group has been down that road before, and it didn't go so well. Franck Ribéry is another name that's out there. I mean, is he going to move the needle? Like, I think there are times when in the soccer world we confuse good soccer players with transcendent people that are going to move the needle. Like, Villa is that guy. Villa moved the needle in New York. Maybe a little more than I expected. Zlatan is that kind of guy. Beckham was that kind of guy. Thierry Henry was that kind of guy. Is Franck Ribéry that kind of guy? I don't think so. Giuseppe Rossi. Do you go local and bring him back? I mean, is he going to be able to perform at any kind of a level? Who knows? Is he going to attract maybe some locals to come out who have known him? Maybe. But I don't know what they do. And I really worry about where they could end up. Montreal is interesting. They haven't gone for anything big, but they have made some moves that I think have shored some things up when you look at the impact. So I think they're going to get in. If DC gets the Lucas Rodriguez deal done and keep Acosta and get Assad in on a permanent or extend the loan another year and somehow kick the money down the road again, DC will be a challenger. They still have to upgrade the back line a little bit. I'll be curious to see if they think Paul Arriola's a right back for good now. So I think Red Bulls are going to take a little bit of a step back. I think NYC is going to take a step back unless they pull a signing out that surprises us all. DC can take a step up. Montreal can take a step up. New England can take a step up. We'll see if it all comes together for them. I'm still questioning it. Toronto, if everybody's healthy, will be back as a contender. I do believe that. Columbus, it's a little bit of the great unknown at this point, just because you're changing from somebody who's been there for 5 years, 6 years, I believe. So, how different does that look if you're the Columbus Crew? Even if it's Caleb Porter, how long is it going to take him? Philadelphia, young talent. Do they take that next step? We'll have to wait and see. I'm definitely in a wait and see mode with them. Chicago and Orlando, I just don't see them contending for playoff spots.
But Cincy,
I'm ready to jump in the pool with Philadelphia. Me and Philly are going to be close this year, for better or worse.
Cincy's a bottom playoff team is where they're contending for. I mean, they're trying to get into 7. They're not any better than that, I don't think.
That back line, and you get Alvis Powell the other day.
Alvis Powell didn't start for Portland down the stretch. They shipped Fernando Adi because they didn't think he was the guy anymore. You're going to be asking a lot out of Ledesma, out of Al-Badawi, potentially, to step up to an MLS level and perform at a comparable level to what they did in USL. I mean, if you look at Cincinnati's roster, what, you think they're a contender for the Eastern Conference?
No, I think they're a contender for 7.
That's what I said. That's where I think they are. I think they're a contender for 7. I don't think they're much higher than that. I mean, 7 can turn into 5 through 9, but I think that's probably where I'm looking at them going in. It's too early to like really put a lot of this on paper yet because there's going to be more moves in January. But that's kind of where my head's at in the Eastern Conference. I think Atlanta is a cut above everybody else at the moment. But if the Red Bulls spend a little money, if NYC gets a forward that surprises all of us, if DC maybe gets one more defender, if Montreal pulls a move out, which they're always capable of, then things could change a little bit. But right now, I think it's Atlanta with a little bit of distance at the top of the Eastern Conference. But then the question about Atlanta is how long does it take Frank DeBoer to really, truly have this team hitting on all cylinders? Is that going to start immediately, or is that going to take some time? We'll have to wait and see.
Trying to see if, then I guess, well, I don't know if this question is probably going to be a lot longer than we have left in hour number 1, but I'll ask it, and I guess we can tease forward to hour number 2.
Okay.
Daniel Graham, hashtag Thursday Thoughts, RIP Siggy Schmidt. How would y'all like to see the 3 midfielders deployed in Frank DeBoer's 4-3-3? I'm assuming PT, Joseph, and Tito up top.
Okay, so, I mean, this will be pretty quick. If he plays the 4-3-3, and I think DeBoer's going to be far more flexible tactically than people are talking about, because he has been in his career. He's shown 3-5-2, he's shown 3-4-3, he's shown 4-3-3. I think in his 4-3-3, which generally looks like a line of 4, a holding midfielder, 2 8s, and then a line of 3 up top. If he's going Pitti, Joseph, Tito up top in the line of 3, if everybody's available and everybody is flying, I think it's Remedi as the 6, Nagbe, and Barco as your 2 central midfielders. And Barco's going to have to do more defensive work than he typically would to fit in. I think Nagbe's a perfect fit for it, and I think Remedi's a perfect fit for his role in it, and I think Barco's capable of it. I think it's also possible that you could see Barco and Pitti switch, and Pitti could be more of a deeper lying player. This is fitting into what Frank DeBoer has shown at Ajax with that group of players. You know, let's give him some credit as to looking at the group of players he has here to adjust to how it fits with this group of players. I think he is a far more flexible manager than people have given him credit for and can do that. So maybe he doesn't have 2 8s that make this team work that way. Maybe it is, 2 deep lying, 1 10 that is more free, and that could be Pitti or Barco. So you've got some flexibility. I think DeBoer will figure that out. You also could go 3-5-2 to start because that's how this team finished and played well, or it could be 3-4-3 this time. It's going to be flexible, and I think DeBoer will take the opportunities early and especially in preseason to try some different things and find what combination works best for him. Let's take our break before the end of the first hour. We'll get back with one more hour of Soccer Down Here on a Thursday Thoughts edition. Tweet at us at Soccer Down Here. We'll talk about it in hour number 2.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, that's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Appolinsky & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Appolinsky at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Appolinsky is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star, and Shelter Pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
You're listening to Soccer Down Here daily on SDH Networks, a division of OSG Sports. Find us at Soccer Down Here on Facebook and Twitter. The time is now the top of the hour. Peep, y'all.
Hour number 2, Soccer Down Here, December 27th edition. The final Thursday Thoughts edition of 2018. Jeez. Can't believe this year's almost over. Jason Longshore, John Nelson, Jarrett Smith with you this morning. We're taking your questions. We're taking your tweets. Lots of different things. It's one of those kind of days. Wanted to piggyback off of the last one about lineup with ATL UTD fan number 1. Joe had a good question. Regarding Barco not being in camp for preseason, since he's with the U20 Argentine national team. Joe says, I have to wonder if Miggy isn't sold, whether or not Barco is loaned to bring in Pity Martinez. That's the only other way it could happen. I mean, I think it's that's it. That's the only other way. You're definitely going to bring in Pity if Miguel's not sold. I think it's unlikely, just because I think Miguel is going to go. I think the offer that the team wants is going to materialize, and I think they will get a great deal for him. But if it doesn't, that's not a bad fix, because I don't have all of the dates on the South American U20 competition, but it is kind of long. It will run January into February. It could be the simple scenario to loan him for the rest of the Superliga, so he stays with the U20s, he plays with the U20s, maybe loan him back to Independiente for the rest of the Superliga, plays there. You free up your designated player slot until you get to the summer window. Maybe. I don't think it's likely. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the far most likely scenario here is Miguel Almiron does go for a large fee and Pity Martinez comes in. But that's the only other way I think it happens for Pity Martinez to show up if Miguel Almiron's not sold. I think that's it. I think it's very unlikely, but I think that's the only other way.
Group B is the 18th of January through the 26th for group play. The final stage goes from the 29th of January to possibly February 10th.
Yeah, and you're talking about a preseason that starts January 14th here, and your first match is February 21st. So Argentina would be one of the favorites in this competition. You would expect them to last for a good while, and he could be there for a while. So then it's going to be harder for him to integrate into the squad straight away.
He's trying to figure out who else is in the group. Not that it necessarily would matter for Argentina and their standing, but it's Uruguay, Paraguay, Argentina, Ecuador, Peru.
Yeah, I mean, Argentina is going to be one of the favorites in any South American competition. So, yeah,
yes.
You would be preparing for him to be gone for the whole thing.
And those dates are courtesy of our friends at CONMEBOL, if I read them properly.
All right. What else do we have on the timeline?
Let's see. Daniel Graham, his Thursday thoughts was for goal of the year, Julian Gressel splitting 3 defenders to find a sliding Joseph Mesut Ozil level pass.
Which game?
What game was that? That's what I was going to say. He didn't say. And so, Daniel, which game? So let us know.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one he's thinking of.
And Snowman
Washington.
And DC. Hey, hold that thought for a second. Mesut Ozil. That's a player. That's a player who, he's not playing regularly at this point, is he?
No,
There's talk
because
about him
he's
leaving.
hot and cold, yes.
Is that a player you would bring into Major League Soccer?
Yeah.
Who would benefit the most from bringing Mesut Ozil into their team?
Oh, wow. Good question, sir.
Well, I mean, I argued last week that if Cincinnati wanted to go full German, Sami Khedira would be fun in this league.
Well, yeah, no, that's a different situation altogether. Cincinnati needs a playmaker, and I mean, Ozil could be that guy. I don't think they want to spend that money. The team that jumped out to me when you mentioned his name is Montreal.
Yeah,
he'd be a superstar in Montreal.
Yes,
that would be very interesting.
Yes, and then you were talking about teams needing splashes. NYCFC.
See, this is where those are two very different markets. Would Mesut Ozil be a splash in New York City? I'm not convinced he would be. I'm not convinced that would move the needle. Would it make the team better? Yeah, absolutely. And would that help move the needle because the team is better? Sure. But would you sell immediately 10,000 Mesut Ozil NYC shirts?
No.
And I think NYC needs that kind of splash. I think they need an immediate splash. If they can't get it, then they have to go the second route, which is just make your team better and make your team more competitive, and then people will come over time. But I think if he went to Montreal would be – then they would be in that running for the top of the Eastern Conference.
And Joey Saputo would spend that money.
Yeah. That's the type of move that I could easily see Saputo making.
So let's go down this wormhole as you have opened it up, because that's what we do. For New York, do they go out and find another big-name superstar striker to try and bring in?
That's what
I don't know either.
I don't think there is one right now.
There's not another David Villa.
I don't
Not
think there is one.
who's at that point.
I think you're looking. I think that the names, if you're going big name, you have two options. You have Mario Balotelli. We know the baggage that comes with. And you have Fernando Torres, who I think is way past it. I don't think Fernando Torres comes into this league and scores more than 12 goals in a season.
No. I wouldn't
outside of
see
that,
it.
I don't think there's another name.
Yeah. And
had he not gone to Juventus, I'd have been fascinated by the idea of Cristiano Ronaldo in New York.
Well, that's a different thing. Like now, when you talk Ronaldo, Messi, like that's a different level of name, and I don't think NYC at Yankee Stadium is going to get either one of those types of guys.
I still think Miami.
Well, yes, I think Miami would be the one that would get one of those guys, but I don't think NYC would even be a attractive proposition for either one of those guys because of Yankee Stadium. I think New York would be attractive for either one of those guys, but not Yankee Stadium, New York City.
Yeah. And until they figure out where the alleged venue is going to be when they get things squared away and actually start to build a barn, which at least puts it 3 or 4 years from there, I just don't see anybody moving the NYCFC needle at all.
I disagree with that. I mean, I think there's guys who can move the needle, but nobody like David Villa, nobody like a Ronaldo. I think it's going to come down to this. I think NYC is going to have to make a decision between a Fernando Torres and a good player with no name. I think they're going to have to make that decision and figure out which one is going to be better for the bottom line. Because if you go get Torres, you're going to have to get somebody else as well. If you go get a good player on a good deal that is not going to sell a bunch of shirts straight away, but makes the team better and brings people out over time because the team is better, Are you comfortable doing that? It's not like City Football Group's hurting for money. It's not like they're going to pull up stakes anytime soon. That's not happening. So you would think that they would be okay doing that. And I think it'd be the smarter move right now because I don't think Fernando Torres moves the needle enough to overcome what I don't think he's going to do anything like what David Villa did. I don't think it's even close. I think he's more like a Steven Gerrard type of reaction in this league, a guy who just doesn't have it, doesn't have the legs anymore. And there comes a point where you don't want to go watch that because it's sad.
I was going to use the Pirlo example, but that was just me.
I mean, even Pirlo did a few things.
We were discussing underrateds. Snowman came in and he says the underrated goal for him was the first goal of the season from Joseph against DC United.
Man, it's so underrated. I'm not even thinking of it off the top of my head.
Great link-up play from Nagbe to Tito to Joseph. Normalcy was resumed at the Benz after the Houston disaster.
I think I vaguely remember it down the right side, and then cross from Tito and Joseph goal.
Snowman helped the man out. Was that the one?
I'm still mad at the World Cup for ruining my dreams of getting our Golden Ball winner here in MLS sooner rather than later.
What, Luka Modric?
Yeah, I'd love Luka in MLS. I wanted Luka in MLS for 2 years. You imagine if the Golden Ball winner had played in MLS? He had to fly over from whatever club signed him, Miami or whatever.
Well, he said now he wants to end his career at Real Madrid.
That's good for him.
Are you playing tunes?
Nothing like Jared? I was gonna say nothing like background music for Jared while he's giving us his takes.
You can thank the child for that. So
Ivy's dialing it up to 11 this morning.
I mean, it did kind of work, like Dreamland takes about Luka Modric playing in Major League Soccer, and that music.
I was down with it.
Not serious music for not serious takes.
Yeah, there you go.
And okay, so Daniel is saying that it was Gressel to Joseph at the 42nd mark of a video that was most recently produced. Hang a minute. Nothing like background music for me.
Jeez.
Okay. Oh, it looked like it was the Vancouver match where one of the defenders tried to backheel it and he messed it up and it went through.
Okay, the goal that Jimmy shared, yeah, it was the one I was thinking of where Nagbe with just a ridiculous ball down the right side to Tito after some nice interplay between the two of them, and then Tito with the cross that goes through Birnbaum's legs, sliding DC defender, Joseph just crashing into the goal, slots it home. That was a good one against DC on the home opener.
The only DC goal I vividly remember is where Joseph just trucked David Usted because Usted wouldn't come out for a ball.
Oh, yeah, that one was funny.
Yes.
Usted came like halfway, and Joseph
backed
just said,
out of the
this
challenge.
And
Joseph
were
already
worried
broke
about
his
that being
nose
a
heading.
foul.
Joseph already broke his nose going for a ball. He ain't worried about hitting you.
No.
And Usted starts to come out and then doesn't. And then, man, either come out or don't. You got to commit.
But yeah, Gressel to Joseph against Orlando at Mercedes-Benz. That was the one that Daniel was talking about.
Say that one more time.
Gressel through the three defenders to a sliding Joseph. The Mesut Ozil pass was apparently against Orlando at Mercedes-Benz.
Yes, okay. Yeah, that was the opener against Orlando. Got it.
Yeah, where the one defender tried to back heel clear it, and it kind of flicked off his heel and didn't quite work.
Yeah, because that's not going to work ever.
No.
It's just one of those things. We're going to take a break, come back, more Thursday thoughts after this.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
Living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
Had to be independent and take initiative, and that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency, or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Appolinsky & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Appolinsky at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Appolinsky is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Welcome back, Soccer Down Here, December 27th edition, Thursday Thoughts. Got some thoughts on something that happened yesterday. The Serie A they did a Boxing Day schedule. I don't think it's typical, but they did one, and a lot of people zeroed in on the Inter Milan-Napoli game, number 2 and number 3 in the league. There was a late winner from Inter to get the win, but if you didn't watch the game, Napoli boss Carlo Ancelotti said his team asked 3 times for the match to be suspended because of alleged racist chanting before the last-minute goal gave Inter the victory. Kalidou Koulibaly was targeted at the San Siro. Koulibaly is from Senegal, and he said afterwards on Twitter, he said, "I'm sorry about the defeat." He received 2 yellow cards in a matter of seconds in the 80th minute, so he was sent off. He said, "I'm sorry about the defeat, and especially to have let my brothers down, but I'm proud of the color of my skin, to be French, Senegalese, Neapolitan, and a man." Ancelotti said after the match, "What happened today is not good, not only for us, but also for Italian football as a whole. I'm very sorry about what happened to Koulibaly. The boy was on edge. He is an educated footballer who was targeted. Despite our requests, the match was not interrupted. I'm unhappy because 3 times we asked for the match to be suspended. The next time, we'll stop playing, even if we lose the match." The mayor of Milan, Giuseppe Sala, apologized to Koulibaly on his Facebook page. "It was a shameful act against a respected athlete who proudly bears the color of his skin, and also to a lesser degree against the many people who go to the stadium to support their team and be with their friends." Look, this stuff is ridiculous, and it happens in many parts of the world. Luckily, it does not happen here. At least it hasn't to any massive degree, and I hope it never does, because this is an embarrassment, and it tarnishes a big result for Inter Milan. And I 100% agree with Ancelotti. The only way this stuff really, truly stops, because they did everything they're supposed to do. They asked the referees to suspend the match, to stop the match, to do something about it. Nothing gets done. The only way this stuff gets dealt with in the long run, walk off the field. Walk off the field. Let the referees suspend the match, call it a forfeit, whatever. At some point, that's going to happen here. Because when it is that obvious to where the mayor of the city that it's happening in apologizes to the player, the referees have to stop that match. And if they don't, take the loss and leave, because nobody should be subjected to that. This is ridiculous, and it's got to stop. There's no place in the sport for it. When you look at any team in the world, for the most part, you see players from all different kinds of backgrounds, countries, nationalities. What have we talked about with Atlanta United all season long, about how it's such a beautiful thing that you have so many different cultures involved in this team and people from every walk of life that are involved in this team, whether it's on the field or in the stands. This type of stuff only changes with drastic action. And I'm glad Ancelotti said that, because that's the only way it gets dealt with in the future. Because if the referees can't handle it, then walk off and make the federation deal with it. I don't know what else you can do.
Press conference this morning, Milan's police commissioner said a combined group of Inter, Varese, and Nice ultras, and this is from The Guardian, elements of those clubs' fan bases have developed ties over the years, carrying wooden bats and metal bars, attacked a minibus taking Napoli supporters to the game. During the melee, with folks trying to flee, the one gentleman who was killed was struck by an SUV. The driver of that vehicle has not been identified as of yet.
You need to explain that, because this is something completely different to racist chanting in the stadium about people being killed outside of the stadium. What happened?
Yeah. Match that began with Icardi. Before the game, rival supporters fought outside the stadium, and one of the supporters was killed. So you had fighting before the match, and then you had what went on during the match inside. So it started early and did not stop.
Okay, so you had a supporter killed outside the stadium before the game, and it was known this happened before the game. The match goes on. You have racist chanting, and Napoli is asking for the game to be stopped. It's not stopped. And then just basically it's just all ignored, I guess.
Yeah. The gentleman who was killed was a Varese ultra known to police from a previous stadium ban. He was tended by some Napoli supporters, driven to a hospital by a separate group of Inter fans. 2 individuals had been arrested by the time of the press conference. A third is being sought. In the meantime, local media outlets shared chaotic footage of fans fighting in a street lighted up by flares. And then you had what happened inside going on.
Yeah, these are two completely different issues, and they're both very serious, and they're both, things that have to be dealt with. The racist chanting in the stadium is one thing, and yeah, I'm with Ancelotti. Next time this happens, if the referees aren't going to stop it, walk off the field and make the league and federation deal with it. The fan violence is a whole different situation where, yeah, Napoli fans are not exactly known for being weak and soft and quiet either, but this is stuff that you wonder why some leagues have slipped in where they are, and Italy's one. I mean, this stuff is way too big of a part of Italian soccer, and the fact that you had multiple groups coming together to fight with Napoli fans. And look, there's a lot of stuff culturally in Italy when you get north-south, and we've talked about it on Soccer Over There before, and we talked about it with Napoli and Diego Maradona really playing off of that in the 1990 World Cup, where he was basically telling fans at the semifinal that they should cheer for Argentina because Italy doesn't like Napoli and doesn't like Naples because they don't respect the southern part of the country. And you've had these issues for ever. I mean, honestly. So that all plays into it and makes a unique cauldron of noise and drama and ugliness. That part is a much bigger, broader issue that has to be dealt with. Racist chanting in the stadium, that's easy. It happens. Stop the game. Pull the players off the field like you did at Bank of California Stadium where things are being thrown on the field. Pull the players off the field. Make announcements that if it doesn't stop, the game is going to be suspended. Try to go back. If it continues, send everybody to the locker room. See if you can get it calmed down. If you can't, empty the stadium out. If you can't do that, then the home team loses the game. You've got to do these things about it because there is no place in the game for the racist chanting in the stadium. That's fixable because you can easily deal with it in the context of the game. The ultras, the fan violence, and especially when you're getting into stuff with Milan and Naples and North and South and Italy and history that goes back decades and generations, I don't have an easy fix for that. That involves police. That involves people growing up in some way and letting stuff just fade away. But I can't sit here and judge that. I'm not Italian. I don't live that life. But racist chanting in the stadium, that's easy. It shouldn't be allowed. It shouldn't be glossed over. It shouldn't be ignored. That has to stop. There's no place in the game for this. And you wonder why Mario Balotelli has had, a checkered history with the Italian national team. This type of stuff. I mean, these things are just not okay. There's no way to say, oh, well, yeah, I hear the chanting, but just go ahead and play. It's not that big of a deal. No, not anymore. Has to stop.
And the point was made in that same Guardian article by Paolo Bandini that 5 years ago, Kevin Prince Boateng was having slurs thrown at him, and Milan players walked off, even though it was only a friendly. And Bandini makes the point that was 5 years ago, and virtually nothing has been done to address racism in the stands in stadiums in Serie A.
Well, that was a friendly, so it's a different conversation about walking off. That's a much easier decision to make, so it's hard to compare the two, but if things haven't changed or if they did change and they've changed back, this stuff doesn't go away by itself. You have to be vigilant and you have to continue to deal with it. And look, for whatever reason, there are people who are far more bold in expressing their opinions about others now more than ever. And that means leagues and places like this have to be more vigilant than ever before about not allowing it. Because there are children who are going to be affected by this. There are players who don't deserve to be affected by this. I mean, you look at how on edge Koulibaly was in his moment. You don't think it affected him getting 2 yellows and getting sent off? You don't think it had anything to do with that? Come on. It had an effect on the match, and racist chanting should not have any effect on any sporting contest. So there are leagues around the world, FIFA, confederations, continental confederations, national federations, leagues, teams, players, managers, referees, all have to do a better job dealing with this stuff. Milan players should have been appalled and should have had something to say or do about it. It's got to change. And when it comes up, we're going to talk about it. And I'm glad that it hasn't happened here on any kind of scale like this. I hope it never does. But you have to stay vigilant about it, or it will. And that's just where the game is sometimes. When you bring a lot of different cultures together, it can be a magical thing like we've seen here in Atlanta. And it can also result in things like this. And it is completely unacceptable. And Serie A and Inter Milan have to do something about this. And I will fully support Carlo Ancelotti walking his team off the field if this happens again. Let's take a break. Come back. More of Thursday Thoughts after this.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, That's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Apolinski and Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Apolinski at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Apolinski is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome back. Soccer Down Here, December 27th edition. We've got Thursday thoughts from the peeps who are listening. John, what do we have?
Joe McCurdy says, I offer with respect, Longshoe, that the two incidents are more similar than you think. Both stem from an overwhelming, sad hatred of opponents. Talked about it for 2 decades on CNN World Sport. Is everyone that chanted racist, or is it an ignorant, distasteful tactic? ?
Yeah, no, I mean, and they are. I was thinking, or where I was going with it is maybe the solutions are a little different because outside the stadium stuff, and I mean, you can even look at Copa Libertadores and how that went down. You know, when you're dealing with violence outside of a stadium before a game, that's a whole different set of circumstances and solutions than chanting inside. I think chanting can be dealt with inside the stadium, and it has to, or it's just going to continue. The reasons why, I think there are similarities. I think there are some differences. I think there probably are some people who try to justify racist chanting by saying that they're trying to throw the opposition off and help their team win. I'm sure some people believe that. And I'm sure they probably still believe what they are chanting as well. I don't think I don't know. It's a different culture, so I'm not going to speak for people who do that sort of thing. My brain doesn't work that way. But, you know, would somebody who is absolutely not believing the racist things they are chanting decide to do that because they think it's going to help their team win, even though they are completely against what they are saying? That feels like a big stretch for me. Different cultures have different boundaries, different ways of thinking that, no, I don't understand because I didn't grow up in those cultures and I haven't experienced those cultures. I remember probably my first real exposure to this sort of stuff that just blew my mind was when Goal TV first got La Liga, and it was I believe it was Beckham's first year at Madrid. So I had a chance to watch La Liga regularly for the first time, and I was interested because Beckham was, one of my favorite players. So I started watching Real Madrid games and watched a game at Deportivo La Coruña, and you could, as clear as day, hear monkey noises over the TV coming from the crowd. that about blew my mind, because growing up in the U.S. and growing up in the South, and yeah, people have their opinions about racism in the South, I could never imagine hearing something like that in a public space, let alone at a sporting contest. It was shocking to me. And that is part of different cultures. It does happen more often, and it hasn't gone away, and it's not okay. It's something that the sport has to continue to fight, because this is the world's game. This is the game that brings everybody together. I shared an article earlier today from Street Football World, and a girl who came up in a program and now coaches in that program said that this ball will help us be friends. That's absolutely the truth. And this type of stuff just has to be eradicated from the game. The organized fan violence outside of the stadiums is a much harder thing to tackle, because you're getting into borderline organized crime, and it's very difficult. It still needs to be handled. But it is a little different than this type of stuff that happens inside the stadium that can affect the outcome of a match and can be controlled in the context of the match. The referees can have an effect here, and they need to, or it's just going to continue.
And a one-liner from Jim Lepp. He says, "So you're saying other countries' refs need to have the stones of Geiger, like what happened, I guess, at the LAFC match?" I would be pretty willing to bet that if that happened, that he would take the players off the field. I mean, he would probably first also look to make sure he had enough security to be comfortable to do that sort of thing, as he should. But yeah, sure, I'll say that. Because, I mean, that was a postseason game, and stuff was being thrown consistently. And yeah, that was what absolutely needed to happen in that moment from Geiger. And that stuff being thrown on the field is awful, and we've talked about it a ton, and there's no place for it. That's nowhere near as bad as racist chanting in my book, and it shouldn't even be a question about pulling people off the field for racist chanting. So, yeah, I would tend to think that Geiger would not have any tolerance for that. And I'd love to have more center refs who are of that mindset, is that this will not stand. And I mean, this is going to sound very, very, I don't know what the word is, but I know that we are better than this across the board. And I'd love to see steps being taken. And if it's the first step is repeatedly having refs pulling players off the pitch so they're not subjected to that kind of stupidity, I'm all for it, because, like I said, we're better than this, and we need to set examples for future generations so we can all be friends with that ball being put in play.
It's gotta take leadership to do this. It's got to take leadership from the top down. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that this stuff gets eradicated from the game. But I fully support Carlo Ancelotti saying that next time it happens, he's taking his team off the field, and he should.
Other stuff back. You want to get back into stuff having to do with underrateds and 2019?
Yes.
Jim Lepp with another question. He says, "Is it just me, or is Barco core to this year's plan? Seems to me that most clubs around the world would not release him given early preseason CCL new manager. Imagine BVB releasing Pulisic for a youth tournament."
That's a tough one, because Pulisic coming to play for a youth well, Pulisic, first off, he's part of the senior national team, so that's a little different. You wouldn't call him into a youth tournament. To South American youth national teams have a little more stature than U.S. youth national teams. It's a little bit easier to pull those players. It's tough, but I don't think Atlanta United would do anything to help themselves by saying, no, you can't go play in this. I really don't. I think Atlanta United benefits from it far more to have that lineup sheet come out and see Atlanta United right next to Barco's name. I think that is more valuable than having him here for preseason. I really do. Atlanta would create more headaches for themselves by denying it. Because, I mean, in the long term, Atlanta United wants to continue to be a force and a power in South America. And the way you do that is you put players in their national teams.
Ricky Ricardo with the underrateds. He says, Romario's goal against LAFC was more difficult than I realized, but I loved it, and more importantly, the celebration.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one. That was definitely a good one. Definitely one of the best celebrations of the season, that's for sure.
And, obviously you're going to get a yellow for taking the kid off and everything. But, considering context, that's what I'm saying. I was getting to that in the second part of my sentence, sir. It's like celebration, impact, the way that it went down. Go for it. It's all good.
Yeah, but again, who cares that he got a yellow? It doesn't matter. Good. Take that yellow. Mm-hmm. Like, get the ref to autograph it and put it on the wall. Like, but these are little things, and I'm saying it because I've heard people complain about these things. Look, this is not U12. Getting a yellow card is not a bad thing. Getting a yellow card does not mean that Romario Williams should miss out on his dinner that evening. Like, he got a yellow card for celebrating a goal. He took his shirt off. Big whoop. It doesn't matter. Like, it's not even worth talking about. It's not even, it's on the score sheet. It's in the box score. Yay. It does not matter. I think sometimes we get way too worked up about these things. It's just, it doesn't matter. I think it's a dumb rule to begin with.
What, giving a yellow after a celebration?
No, you don't give a yellow for every celebration. You give a yellow if somebody takes their shirt off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the same thing in the FOOTBALL. It's like, let them have fun.
There's differences. There's lines here. If you take your shirt off and you run around and delay the restart of the game because you're acting a fool for far too long, give a yellow. That's fine. If you do what Romario did and you score the goal and you take your shirt off and you celebrate and then you go kick off, who cares? Who cares? It shouldn't be automatic. There should be judgment about it. If it's overboard, yes, give a yellow. If it's not, who cares? I mean, the way the NFL dealing with celebration is a whole different thing that I don't even care to try to dissect. It doesn't need to be a cut and dried in soccer. I think it's silly.
Yeah, you run the red carpet in the end zone, you don't get a flag. But if you hop in behind a television camera in the end zone and shoot the celebration that resulted from your touchdown, you get a flag. I mean, really.
If you are in Iceland and you do a coordinated celebration that looks like bowling or fishing or whatever else with all 11 players involved in it, there's no card given. But if you score and you take your shirt off and because you get excited and you throw it in the air, you get a yellow. I mean, that's stupid. Yellow, it's just one of those things. I think sometimes we, compare the youth game to the pro game about cards. There's good yellows and there's bad yellows. To me, that's a dumb yellow that shouldn't be a yellow, period. And for a player in Romario's situation, yeah, he was on the yellow card tightrope towards the end of the season, but I'm honestly not going to be mad at him for that at all. That was his first goal in MLS. It was a big moment for him. He was obviously overcome by emotion. He should be. It's a big deal.
But to your point, I think that there should be some kind of judgment allowed, ref's discretion or whatever you want to call it for those kinds of things. I just think 9 times out of 10 is kind of silly.
Yeah, it's silly for it to be an automatic. It should be a judgment call.
And before we go to break, one thing that we haven't done yet in this week of shows, congratulate Kevin Egan for the addition to the family.
Ah, yes.
So Kevin, the Egans are now at a +1, and so it is Hummus Andrew Egan. Well, it's James, I guess, but back 5 days ago, it's Meg and I couldn't be happier to welcome James Andrew Egan into the world. James, Jimmy Jimbo, Jammer, Hummus Rodriguez, King James, you're already our little hero. Love you, bud. Meg and all others, other mothers out there, you're absolutely amazing. And that is definitely true. But now King James is 5 days old.
Congrats to the Egans. We'll catch up with Kevin as we get closer to the Atlanta United season getting underway and get his thoughts on the preseason and CONCACAF and Frank DeBoer and everything going into the 2019 Atlanta United season. But we've got one more segment to go. We're going to take a quick break to catch up. We'll be right back.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
Living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
Had to be independent and take initiative, and that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Apolinski and Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Apolinski at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Apolinski is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Final segment, Soccer Down Here, Thursday Thoughts edition of the show, December 27th, 2018. Final Thursday show of the year. We've got a few more Thursday Thoughts out there, John. What do we have?
We do. Katie Weaver says it should only be a yellow if it's a male player wearing a sports bra fitness monitor.
Those are becoming the common thing, though. Those are an important part of sports science now. I mean, that's a very big development now to be able to tell, okay, yeah, this guy's telling me that he feels fine, but, man, he's not running like he was in the 30th minute, so we're going to make us up. That's one of those developments that I don't think has been talked about enough, about how it's changing the game and how much more common it's becoming, like all the way down to, youth teams now.
Then Joe McCurdy comes back in. He says his favorite goal of the year was Darlington Nagby's goal that wasn't. It was so well hit so early in the season. He was so mad at Joseph at the time, but I've forgiven him over 30 times, 100 since then. #Thursday Thoughts.
Yeah, there's nothing Joseph could do. I mean, it was a run that Joseph makes every time because Gressel delivers that a lot of times. This time, Gressel cut it back, and there was nowhere Joseph could go. So it was just one of those kind of awkward situations that it was the right call. It was a call that, is hard to see live, but once you saw the replay, VAR got it right. It was correct. It was awkward, but it was correct.
And word out of the Carolinas, a week from today, North Carolina FC is holding a press conference introducing new head coach Dave Sarakin to the media.
Yeah, not breaking news. We knew that he was being announced, that he was done, and he was coming into North Carolina FC, but they'll introduce him to the media here shortly. We do have some breaking news. This is from the BBC. Inter Milan will play 2 home league matches behind closed doors after alleged racist abuse. Good. That's a good start. That's not enough because it had an effect on the match and probably had a hand in Kalidou Koulibaly being sent off because of losing his head and picking up 2 quick yellows. But, yeah, two matches behind closed doors, good. That's a good start.
Yep.
That's not it, but that's a good start.
Yeah. And let's see, what else is going on? What other odds and ends do we have here before the end of the last Thursday show of the year?
There's a couple rumors out there. Chicago, Matt Polster is out of contract on the 31st, and they've been trying to sign a potential homegrown in Andrew Gutman from Indiana. We've talked about these 2 guys being on trial with Rangers in Scotland. Looks like Rangers is going to make an offer to both. Gutman will likely take it, according to most sources. Polster, it's about 50-50. They would have to get work permits in Scotland. That's a little bit easier process than it is in England, but not a slam dunk. Polster would definitely have options in MLS if he wants to come back into this league and find a spot. They played him as a right back as the season went on. He came up as more of a holding midfielder, a 6 or an 8. I'm not sure what his best position is, but I think he does have a future. I mean, he's been a borderline national team prospect. I'm a little surprised Chicago was not able to re-sign him, and I'm really curious to see where he could end up. There are some rumors in Paraguay as well about Olympia being interested in Alejandro Silva from Montreal, their right winger that I really liked Silva a lot. I think he was a little up and down in his first year in the league, but Silva, Piatti, if they get a number 10 that can really move the needle there, they're a dangerous team. Montreal wants at least $4 million for Silva if they're going to make a deal. I don't know if Olympia can hit that kind of price tag. And yesterday, Kevin Baxter of the LA Times reported that Guillermo Barros Schelotto will be the new manager of the LA Galaxy, and that announcement could come down at any point. But it's a done deal. Schelotto will be in charge of the Galaxy going forward.
And have we mentioned the Full House next season? Have we mentioned that at all today?
No, it had come out before, but Doug Robertson of the AJC clarified that at least 6 regular season matches, Mercedes-Benz Stadium will have a full capacity available. This past season, they did 5 plus postseason. This year, it will start at 6. You never know. They could add a 7th depending on how it goes, and it will continually, I think, expand from there. I think it's going to be a gradual process, but Darren Eales has said it. He'd love to see a day where the whole stadium's open for every Atlanta United match. But you want to build to that and not just do it straight out of the gate.
Yeah, because then, what you're doing is creating artificial demand. And then with a good product on the field, you create demand where it's not artificial. And there's the actual desire for folks to get in there and be more than 45,000 every single time out. What was the average attendance last year? 53,002?
Yeah, I think that's right.
So you had over, $1.25 million, like $1.3 million-ish go through the turnstiles for Atlanta United this year. Yeah, 1.2. And a point was raised legitimately on the Twitters this morning. And someone had reached out to Triple H wondering when Atlanta United was going to get their WWE Championship belt.
Yeah, man. Okay, my head was spinning from that segue. Yes.
Whiplash, baby.
It's been a question that's come up a few times. This one was from sports_midnight, asking Triple H when Atlanta United gets their WWE Championship belt for winning MLS Cup. I think they've done that before. I don't think this would be the first time that WWE would present that to the MLS champ. But, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Joseph holding the belt over his head at the home opener would be kind of cool.
And, well, then maybe you have Flair come out and present it to him.
Yeah, maybe. That could work.
You go come through the smoke with the robe and everything, and there's a passing of the championship belt from Nate to Joseph, and Joseph just puts it over his shoulder.
Yeah, I think if you do it, though, what I would like to see, because generally, they've done it with the current WWE Championship belt. It'd be cooler in this case if they did it with the old gold belt, the WCW replica that I guess it was NWA at one point as well. The
10 pounds of gold?
Yeah, no, that's NWA's belt. The one that's associated with WCW, the giant gold belt. That would be kind of cool to do it, that belt for Atlanta United, playing off of the WCW history.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, the one that Hogan spray painted over the NWO with? That big one?
Yes.
Okay. Getting my belt squared away.
Yeah, the NWA still exists and has their belt, and I don't think that one really has much meaning. But the one that most people associate with WCW's heyday, that would be kind of cool. So come on, Triple H, get it done.
Okay, and now Katie Weaver is chiming in. She says, I know that hashtag 5 stripes don't stop, but y'all don't either. We're all out Christmasing and still SDH rolls on. Haven't been able to tune in much, but thanks for all the great content. Year-end poll on listeners' favorite non-soccer discussion topic, hashtag not Brunswick stew.
I don't want to talk about Brunswick stew ever again. Yeah, if Josh Bailey seems to be the master of the polls, if you want to create one of those, go for it.
So J Bailey 86, we could have a Bailey Daily next week leading into or tomorrow or next week leading into 2019. Favorite non-soccer discussion topic. And then maybe we put a bow on that particular discussion topic and discuss it one more time and put a bow on it.
There's nothing to discuss.
That's not soccer related?
No, about Brunswick stew.
Oh, I wasn't even going there. I was just talking about the favorite non-soccer discussion topic and then putting a bow on that particular discussion topic.
Yes. The bow has been placed on Brunswick stew, so if that is the one that wins it, there's no more discussion.
That'd be the fastest non-soccer discussion that the show has ever had.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of the other non-soccer discussion topics that were...
I don't know. That's
completely and totally blown out. That's up to you, listeners. Yes. Listeners and J Bailey 86, please construct the poll so we can be reminded of all of the non sequiturs that we had this year.
Yeah, pretty much. We'll be back tomorrow with a Friday flashback. We'll have a Friday flashback question early in the morning to get some feedback from you guys on. And we will also be kicking off our Patreon stuff in a much bigger way starting next week. Go check it out at patreon.com/soccerdownhere. We're going to be basically workshopping a Atlanta soccer history project that could be the written word, could be documentary, could be all of the above. It will have podcasts. It will have stuff. But you guys will be a part of it if you're on our Patreon page because you'll have basically like backstage access and help shape it in a lot of different ways. So go check it out over patreon.com/soccerdownhere. We'll also have some other stuff exclusively for the patrons who help us do what we do. If you guys have businesses out there, you're looking to sponsor a show, create an ad, what have you, we are here for you. Shoot us an email, shoot us a direct message. However you want to communicate, reach out as we add more stuff in 2019. The biggest thing that we will add that will get started in January is a women's soccer show. And it's the right time to do it because it is a World Cup year on the women's side. The NWSL, I believe, needs more attention. And women's soccer in general needs more conversation around it. So we will be bringing in lots of different voices to do that as well. That is a big priority for us in 2019. So you'll get that. You'll get more stuff. Patreon helps us do it. Sponsors help us do it. You guys who just listen and share what we do help us do it. So thank you so much. We appreciate it. We're going to take a 22-hour break, and we'll be back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock on the SDH app, on soccerdownhere.net, and on Spreaker. Thanks for listening. Mucha plata, y'all.
Mucha plata, y'all.